this is such a research-rich presentation. I'll tell you, I originally gave this talk in Australia in 2020, so it has never been done here in this country. It was received quite well, and but there's a lot to it, so I'm going to get right to it. But I just want to do a quick check. Who's having a good time so far? I am. How many are serial contact attendees? And how many first-timers? Wow, very cool. Do you know we've got about, I think, between 6,000 and 7,000 people on the live stream, meaning that they offered it, because a lot of people are doing virtual these days, so anyway, yeah. Well, welcome. Let's get to it. So again, I'm going to make believe, well, I'm not making believe. I've got a lot of notes, but I'm going to stay on the narrative so we can get through everything. So when I was here last year, I had the opportunity to talk about a theme that I haven't fully let go of yet. I don't know that I ever will, and that has to do with what I'm calling unconscious contact. This idea that contact with non-human intelligence may in fact be a mass phenomenon touching millions or even billions of people around the world without most people realizing it. This is an idea that I just haven't been able to let go of, and I'm definitely going to pursue it further. Because in my gut, I feel there's something going on with this idea that maybe much of our planet and our species may be in contact with non-human intelligence. You know, they say that life is a process, how reality truly works, holds clues, and those clues are likely right in front of our nose, even though they can often be masked in metaphor. Okay, let's see if I can get this to work. So, onward. Okay. Here's a quote that I love that I think speaks volumes to the message that I just shared. It says, metaphors hide in plain sight, and their influence is largely unconscious. We should mind our metaphors, though, because metaphors make up our minds. That's from James, I think it's Geary. He's a well-known nonfiction author. So I find it fascinating how some, whoops, I just advanced that on my own, how some in the animal kingdom exemplify this message. Are you familiar with some of the animals who are known for their ability to camouflage themselves? Like this grasshopper. I hit it on my own, but can you see it? Can you see the grasshopper? Who can see it?
We saw it. It jumped away.
Oh, it jumped away because you know when I was rehearsing through this, I couldn't find it anymore. I couldn't. I'm like, oh my God, I'm giving the talk, and where did I get this from? So I make my point. Some animals on our planet are known to be masters of camouflage, hiding truth, hiding themselves, although they're right in front of us in plain sight. So this is where I want to go here in this talk, because alongside this massive enigma we call the ET contact phenomenon, there's been something that I've also been wanting so desperately to explore, and that has to do with whether or not our earthly animal companions, some of them masters of camouflage, are somehow linked either directly or indirectly to our understanding our relationship with ET, or what I prefer, what we're now calling non-human intelligence. So this is where I'm going. Right? How many of you are animal lovers? Duh. How many of you are not? Before we get started. Okay, I didn't think so. Okay. How many of you feel yourselves to be an experiencer of ET contact? Come on now. Okay, we'll make note of that. Here's another quote that I found apropos with what we're talking about, and this is one of my favorite philosophers, Ralph Waldo Emerson, and he says, where is it? Where's the quote? I'm just going to read it. Oh, I think it's maybe here. Okay. We see the world piece by piece as the sun, the moon, and the animal, the tree, but the whole of which these are shining parts is the soul. So let's extract out of this the animal and see how this fits into the big picture. This is an exploration, so let's quickly go back in time. Go back in time. What did the animal kingdom depict? Now, I thought I was being really cool having all this motion. So I didn't notice the grasshopper, and this is going forward in time. We'll just forget about that. Okay. We know that ancient history is replete with examples of animals. Dogs is one example, as being depicted as beloved companions to guardians, to spirit guides. And in some cases, they were depicted as the gods themselves. I hope I get this next one right. I love it. This image is a floor mosaic of a guard dog from Pompeii, estimated to be from 1st century CE. That would be Common Era. I'm sure y'all are aware that there are cave paintings the world over that depict a variety of animals. I find it interesting that many of these paintings center their focus on the animal kingdom as opposed to other pictorials, right? Like landscapes and other people, plants, seascapes, etc. So when I visited our friends over at Wikipedia and did a basic search on simply cave painting, here's what I found. It does give a general, can you see it? I don't know if you could, okay, so I'm scrolling. It's probably a little too fast. It gives a general synopsis of the history of cave paintings, but interestingly, out of 18 images that depict the history of cave art, a whopping 11 of the images that are cataloged represent the animal in some way, shape, or form. So this to me says that during this period in our ancient history, the animal kingdom as we know it was at a minimum acknowledged as more than just pets and at a maximum revered, both symbolically and literally. So as we move across the historical timeline, where religious doctrine came to the forefront, namely Christianity, the idea, though only inferred, was that animals were less than their human counterparts. For instance, in the Holy Bible, it states in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, then God said, "Let us make man in our image, in our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air, over the livestock, over all the earth, and over all the creatures that move along the ground." End quote. So when the domestication and eventually commoditization of animals became prevalent, we further separated ourselves from the animal kingdom while relegating them to either personal property or simply food. William Blackstone, who was an English jurist, a judge and politician from the 18th century, wrote about domesticated animals in the Common Law Treaty, Commentaries on the Laws of England, and he said, there it is. First and foremost thing that we must utilize at all times is humility. To realize what we don't know, to have the ability to detach from